In an era where long-range missile systems and high-speed interceptors define the security landscape, the strategic standoff between the United States and China has taken on a new dimension. On paper, the United States has developed some of the world's most sophisticated missile defense systems. But in practice, the question becomes, can even the most advanced shield withstand the sheer volume of modern missile arsenals? This video explores the evolving dynamics of missile defense, focusing on the DF-26, one of China's most versatile ballistic missiles, and what it means for the future of U.S. power projection in the Indo-Pacific. The long-standing military metaphor of spear versus shield is especially relevant in missile warfare. One side develops systems designed to penetrate defenses, the other focuses on countering those threats with increasingly refined interception technologies. But recent developments suggest this balance may be tilting, not based on technology alone but on scale and cost. The DF-26 missile, known informally as the Guam Killer, exemplifies this strategic tension. With a range exceeding 2,500 miles, it is designed to reach U.S. military installations in Guam and potentially target carrier strike groups operating at sea. It can carry either a conventional or nuclear warhead, and its design allows it to engage both land-based and naval targets. The United States possesses several interceptor systems capable of engaging medium and long-range ballistic threats. Among them, the Standard Missile 3 SM-3 and Standard Missile 6 SM-6 are often highlighted for their ability to engage threats in mid-flight, outside the Earth's atmosphere. These interceptors are advanced, but they come at a cost. A single SM-3 interceptor costs more than $12 million. In contrast, many ballistic missiles, like the DF-26, can be produced at a fraction of that price. From a cost-benefit perspective, this imbalance raises strategic concerns. What happens if the attacker can produce 10 times as many missiles as the defender can afford to intercept? Carrier strike groups, the cornerstone of U.S. naval projection, are protected by layers of defense, including Aegis-equipped cruisers and destroyers capable of launching interceptor missiles. But these ships are limited by the number of vertical launch systems (VLS) they can carry, and not all of these can be dedicated to missile defense. In a saturation attack scenario, where dozens or even hundreds of missiles are launched simultaneously, the ability to intercept every incoming threat becomes practically impossible. China's strategy appears increasingly focused on leveraging numerical superiority. By fielding large numbers of DF-21D and DF-26 missiles, Beijing may be betting on overwhelming U.S. defenses through volume alone. If even a few missiles penetrate the shield, the damage could be significant. Recent U.S. assessments estimate that China possesses over 200 launchers and a similar or greater number of DF-26 missiles. These numbers are expected to grow, thanks to a defense industrial base that has placed a priority on rapid missile production. The terminal accuracy requirements for anti-ship ballistic missiles like the DF-26 are also relatively relaxed. Unlike cruise missiles or precision-guided bombs, they don't necessarily need to hit a ship directly to inflict damage. A near miss at hypersonic speeds, with potential submunitions, can still disable flight decks, radar arrays, or surrounding vessels. From a purely financial perspective, missile defense begins to look unsustainable in the long term. If the U.S. must spend over $12 million per interceptor while the other side can produce several missiles for the same cost, the equation becomes increasingly difficult to manage. Furthermore, the structure of missile defense systems creates logistical bottlenecks. Missile tubes are finite. Reloading at sea is not practical under combat conditions. Once those interceptors are used, resupply must come from distant bases or ports, creating a dangerous vulnerability during sustained operations. This is one reason why analysts warn that technology alone cannot close the gap. Even a theoretically perfect system with 100% interception success cannot stop more missiles than it has interceptors available. A 2024 simulation conducted by a U.S. research institute modeled a scenario in which Chinese missile forces targeted U.S. bases in Japan and Guam. The scenario assumed 95% missile reliability, accuracy within 15 to 130 feet, and a 60% interception rate for U.S. systems. The results were sobering. Even under relatively optimistic defense assumptions, key airfields could be disabled for up to 12 days. This kind of operational pause would be enough to undermine U.S. air power in the region during a critical window of conflict. Carrier strike groups, too, are not immune. The DF-26, launched from deep within Chinese territory, can fly at hypersonic speeds toward naval formations, straining the defensive capacity of escort ships. If those ships run out of interceptors, the strike group is left exposed. the United States is not without options. A number of programs are underway to mitigate these risks. Efforts include the MQ-25 Stingray, an unmanned aerial refueling aircraft designed to extend the range of carrier-based fighters. The integration of long-range anti-ship missiles on B-1B bombers for standoff attacks. Enhanced missile defense systems in Guam, including a hardened base infrastructure to withstand attacks. Future deployment of stealth tankers and tilt-rotor aircraft to maintain air superiority at greater ranges. Integration of land-based Patriot systems on naval platforms to improve interception coverage. In March 2025, the U.S. Missile Defense Agency announced the successful interception of a hypersonic test target resembling the flight profile of the DF-26. This marked a notable achievement, but it's only one part of a much larger picture. China has also been investing heavily in hypersonic glide vehicles, which follow unpredictable flight paths and fly at extreme speeds. These capabilities make them more difficult to detect and intercept. Unlike ballistic missiles that follow a relatively predictable arc, hypersonic glide vehicles can maneuver mid-flight, avoiding standard interception patterns. The U.S. currently lacks sufficient real-world data on China's hypersonic programs. Without extensive testing data, it's difficult to design countermeasures with high confidence. This creates a serious vulnerability, particularly when combined with the volume-based strategy already being pursued. Another complicating factor is the DF-26 dual-use capability. These missiles can be loaded with either nuclear or conventional warheads, and the same launcher can be used for both. This ambiguity introduces significant risk. In a high-tension scenario, the U.S. would be forced to make decisions without knowing whether an incoming missile is nuclear or conventional. Responding to a conventional strike by mistakenly assuming a nuclear threat could escalate the situation catastrophically. Conversely, underreacting to a nuclear threat could be just as devastating. This kind of uncertainty is a core part of the DF-26's deterrent power. It forces the adversary to weigh the risks of any preemptive or retaliatory strike very carefully. Modern warfare, especially in the Indo-Pacific region, is no longer characterized by traditional force-on-force engagements. Naval battles do not unfold like they did in World War II, with ships trading fire within visual range. Instead, they are increasingly defined by missile salvos launched from thousands of miles away, beyond the reach of radar or immediate counterattack. The confrontation is shifting toward systems-based warfare. Networks of sensors, interceptors, decoys, and long-range precision munitions. In such an environment, who holds the numerical advantage matters just as much, if not more, than who has the most advanced technology. The DF-26 poses a clear example of this trend. Relatively low production costs, long-range, flexible targeting, and ambiguous payloads make it an ideal platform for modern deterrence and saturation attack strategies. The United States continues to invest in advanced technologies to close the gap. Yet the strategic reality remains. No shield is impenetrable when the incoming barrage outpaces the defender's ability to respond. Military planners now face a critical question. In the event of conflict, how many missiles can a carrier strike group realistically intercept before its defenses are depleted? And how many additional waves can the opposing side deliver? The challenge is not simply building better interceptors. It's addressing the fundamental asymmetry between high-cost, high-tech defenses and low-cost, high-volume offensive systems. In this evolving missile age, the victor may not be the side with the most advanced weapons, but the one with the most sustainable arsenal.